This week's reading included some information about the integrative processing model. So I'd like to go into a little more detail into what that plan is all about. So why do you think we use this model? There's all these models out there about learning and growth, personal growth, but why this one? So one of the things I like about this model is it does give you a structure for both reflection and critical thinking, both things that are going to be very important to you as you move forward in the profession. There's different learning styles that this will work for and different cognitive approaches. And again, there's more information about that specific question in your textbook. So this model in particular helps you to use knowledge that you've already gained in your prior classes to help use that knowledge and that theory and bring new concepts into your thinking. So the idea is to help you to grow in the profession and also to help prepare you for the profession. You'll learn a little bit more about theory, self-awareness, and especially ethics. And this model can be used whether you're in direct service to clients or in an administrative role. Different steps in this model. I'm going to go through them briefly in this list, and then there will be more detail coming about each one. So step 1, gathering objective data, and then reflection, identifying relevant theory and knowledge. Dissonance, we'll talk a little bit specifically about what that means. Being able to state your learning, and then finally to develop a plan to move forward. So when we talk about the step 1, gathering objective data, so you're in your practicum experience, every day that you're there, you're likely to see some different things and learn some new things. So when you're experiencing these different things, they're really based around a specific activity. Again, whether you're working with a client or as an administrator. This is a great time for you to start applying the information you've already learned and also to get feedback from others to help you move forward. When we talk about reflection, looking back on your experiences. So each day when you're at your practicum site, really think about your personal reactions. So you may want to ask yourself different questions. How is this situation maybe in line or different than my own values? Where does my personal history fit in? How does that impact what I think about a situation? Are we finding that some of these experiences are triggering emotions that you did not expect? Are you making assumptions about some of the people in the situation, whether they be clients or supervisors? And this is also a good time to start evaluating yourself. Are you effective in your role? And how can I be more effective? So when we talk about identifying relevant knowledge, do you remember when you start in certain classes and you're saying to yourself, why in the world am I learning this? So going back to some of the basic information, for example, about drug and alcohol, or how groups operate, or even documentation. That knowledge is all going to come together as you're in your practicum experience. And you're going to apply some of the theories that you've learned, but you're also going to use facts from the issues that you're learning in your classes this semester, all towards your practicum. As you're identifying this knowledge, you should start to see that some of the things that are happening in your practicum site aren't really all that important, but some are going to jump out at you to be especially significant. And as you're identifying this knowledge, not only should you start to feel more competent and able, but your self-confidence should rise as well. The more time you spend in your practicum experience, I would expect for you to start to feel more confident as you grow and learn in this experience. Dissonance. So what do we mean by by dissonance? We've all heard of the term cognitive dissonance. So you may start to see some things at your practicum site that you didn't expect. So for example, are there inconsistencies in your practicum site? Do some clients get treated differently than others? Why is that? So when we talk about dissonance, we're talking about incongruity. What doesn't make sense? So learners may start to ask the questions of themselves. Why am I uncomfortable in this situation? Are there issues where I think I should do one thing, but I'm actually supposed to do something else? And if you find these solid differences between what you're doing and what you believe, Is it something you can learn to accept and move on? Or is this a major issue that you need to think about? So articulating the learning. In your reading, I believe the author said something along the lines of people talking about how much they're learning in their practicum experience. And then you ask, well, what are you learning? And the person can't state it. So, you can apply all the knowledge and reflection, but if you can't tell people what it is you're learning or what you've achieved, it's going to be difficult for you to show that you have grown in your experience. Forcing yourself to put these experiences into words may really help you to state where your goals are and what kinds of issues do you need to learn more about? What do you feel most confident with? And then lastly, what are the major lessons that I've learned that I can use moving forward? This should be a constant time of growth and learning new things and getting excited about new things. And then lastly, developing a plan. So we've given you the foundation. These 5 steps are the foundation to determine your plan forward. But you want to be able to articulate that plan, not just what you've learned, but for your future plan. This is a great time for you to work with your supervisor and get feedback about your performance. Are they satisfied? Do they have suggestions for you? And then questions you may ask of yourself. What are the possible consequences of this plan? So if I have a plan to move forward in my profession, what might I be giving up? What issues are going to support my plan? And what's going to stand in my way? It's pretty rare when you can make up a plan, start to implement it, and have absolutely no obstacles in the way. So you really need to think ahead, because the better prepared you are for those obstacles, the better prepared you're going to be to deal with them. Lastly, think about different ways that you can use this model in your current practicum site. And how is this model going to help you learn as you move into the human services profession, whether you're finishing your associate's degree and going right into the workplace, or if you plan to move forward and become a social worker? How is this model going to help you both in your classes and your experiences?